Last Porch Swing, August 2023, Alabama, USA. In a quiet little village, a tall grove of palm trees surrounds a small house that has been standing for almost a century. On a swing in front of the house sits an elderly man named Thomas Bell, 91 years old, watching the sunset. His children have all moved to big cities. His life is quiet but full of memories. Thomas is no ordinary man. He is a former American soldier who fought in World War II in France in 1944. He meets a beautiful French woman named Elise Dufresne while helping a villager join the Allied forces. Elise is a civilian who helps Thomas after he is wounded. The care he receives and the escape from the German army lead to a lifelong love affair. After the war, Thomas returns to America. Elise is unable to come with her father because of his illness. They promise to write letters every month. Thomas writes more than 300 letters over a period of 40 years, but never receives a reply. But he never gave up. August 2023, Claire Dufresne. Claire, Elise's heiress, is now a freelance historian. She finds old letters in a drawer in the house of Elise's grandmother, who died in 2022. Elise never married. In one of her last notes, Elise writes, "Thomas, I read every one of your letters, but I was never brave enough to send mine." Claire sets out to find Thomas and ends up at an antique store in Alabama. She brings back the last letter and meets Thomas on a rocking chair. The last meeting. Thomas quickly looks through all the letters Elise hasn't sent. He's shocked but filled with a sense of calm. She shows him a photo of Elise holding a baby in France, the one Elise never told him about. The old man accepts the photo with silent tears in his eyes. Claire sent him Elise's final letter, the one Elise wrote at the end of her life. "If love survives war, time, and silence, it is never too late." The next day, Thomas was never seen in his wheelchair again. His children found him dead peacefully in his backyard, holding the letter in his hand. Nearby, they found a note he had written. "Now I can swing with her" is somewhere. Claire started a project to share the letters online, connecting a generation with the past. Love is not forgotten, it's in the writing, the hearts and the tears of a generation. Opening scene, America, 2023. Thomas Bell, 91, sits on an old rocking chair in front of his house in a quiet village. The morning air is getting cooler as the sun shines on the grass, wet from the previous night's rain. But his mind is far away, not here, but in a French village in the shadow of war. Thomas closes his eyes and imagines the first day he met Elise Dufresne in 1944. Think back to the past, France, 1944. Thomas has been separated from his unit in battle and wounded. He is looking for a place to hide. While walking in the woods, Elise finds him and takes him to a house behind the village. Elise is a civilian who lost her brother in the destruction of the German army. "Stay quiet," she says in barely audible English, but full of warm affection. Elise takes care of him in the necessary conditions without telling his family. That night, Elise asks him, "When you go back, what will you remember?" Thomas pointed to the swing under a palm tree in front of her house and replied, "If I survive, I'll remember this swing. And you." The power of love under failing age. In those short moments, they fell in love again. Not with the naive love of youth, but with a true love born of safety, understanding, and hope amidst the terrors of war. Elise took Thomas to sit on the swing every night, watching the moon and calling for safety. Thomas asked Elise to come live with him in the United States after the war. Elise refused because her mother was sick and lame. But Elise said, "I'll wait for your letters. Just never stop writing." Imagine going back to the present day. Thomas opened his eyes again, his hands clutching old letters faded by the sunlight. He knew Elise hadn't answered them, but he had never stopped writing. Elise's voice still lived in his heart. The swing was an image that would last a lifetime. The last sentence, after that dream, Thomas turned his head to look at the bee cloud in the sky and said in a low voice, "I built the swing, Elise. It's here. I kept my promise." As dawn approached, he still sat silently,